So, there's a lunar eclipse happening. Yesterday we had the full moon, today we have the lunar eclipse, and it's chaotic energy in here. I don't know if you feel it, I know some of you definitely do, but it's a lot going on, and I think the first thing and the most important thing that we can gather from this is we need to surrender. This is the time to take a step back, pull back, and surrender. Hello, welcome. Today I am really excited to talk to you about the lunar eclipse. I feel like this energy is something that I've kind of been in for a couple weeks now. I want to say 2-3 weeks. It's been a challenging time. I got COVID last week and I know exactly how I got it. And this woman on the plane had gone on the plane 2 days after getting COVID. And then the flight attendant came by and was like, hey, do you guys have a mask? And we were like, no, we forgot one. And she gave us a mask 3 hours into the flight because the lady next to us had COVID, but I think I already got it in that small amount of time. So PSA, please don't travel if you have COVID because you don't know who else could get it. And so now I am finally recovering, but my voice and my nose is not there yet. But I still wanted to film this video because I feel like just being sick and like kind of taking a step back this past weekend to just heal and recover from being sick really put a lot in perspective. I had a great weekend. There were a lot of things that were going on in my head. There was a lot of chaos and I was feeling really down and I was feeling really sad. But overall, it was really transformative and it really helped me take a step back in the way that I know this lunar eclipse is asking me to. And we had a full moon yesterday too. So it's all about surrender and purging. To me, full moon is like purge, sit, contemplate, think about what happened and in this past cycle. And lunar eclipse, I think, is asking us to think back all the way from October. So what happened from October to now? What did we ask for last October? You know, like what points can we learn to pivot? And so overall, I want to say, I think this energy is asking us to confront our past. And that can look like so many different things. It can look like someone literally coming up to you and being like, hey, I know it's been a while, let's chat. You know, like that's obviously one way of you confronting your past, is confronting a person from your past. You could also just be confronting triggers. You could confront your habits. You could confront all sorts of things. Anything that you do in this time right now, like in the present moment, and you're confronting something that's happening in the present moment, is another way of confronting your past, because your beliefs are built over time. Your subconscious brain really starts to collect all kinds of information when you're 0 to 7 years old, and it has this like non-existent filter, right? Like now as adults we can say this doesn't serve me, or I don't agree with this, or I don't like this. We can say that and kind of provide filters for the information that we gather. But as kids, we don't really do that, do we? So, you know, being a kid and being super susceptible means that we're taking in all kinds of information. You know, how our parents are operating, how our parents are treating us, what is our financial situation, who are the people that we're surrounded by, what school am I going to, what are my teachers telling me, like how do I see love, how do I see wealth. All of those things are subconsciously being formed when we're so young. And then as time goes on, we often, because we're usually raised in that similar environment, we're often finding that we have compounding beliefs on the beliefs that we have when we're super young. Now that we're like maybe in our mid-20s, or we're trying to take accountability for our healing, whatever age you are, you know, if you're trying to take more accountability of your healing, I think now is a great time to look at your belief systems. And I think this lunar eclipse is an even better time to do that, because it will tell you what you need to fix, what you need to change, what you need to pivot on. And so confronting your past is one of the hardest things that you can do, but I think it's one of the most rewarding. It really helps you analyze, like, are these the beliefs that I choose to have? Are they serving me? What does that mean? Are they serving me? How can a belief serve me? What does that mean? So essentially what that means is being able to say the actions that I take or the thoughts that I have as a result of a belief systems are ones that I am proud of. If your thoughts are mostly negative, either about you, the people around you, your job. You know, if your thoughts are dominantly negative or you're dominantly thinking about the thing that you don't want, then maybe we need to re-examine our beliefs. And I think that's a really great indication on, you know, like what is our physical reaction to different things, and like, is it positive or negative? I think that's like a pretty easy, you know, check, like, hey, is this a positive thought or is this a negative thought? You know, positive thoughts don't necessarily serve me. We still aren't there yet. Let's take it even a step back. So I have a thought, I'm gonna determine, is it positive or is it negative? And then I'm gonna take a step back and I'm be like, what is the baseline belief that's making me think this thought? What other actions am I taking based on this thought? And so when you condense it down to the belief and be like, this is my belief about the world, and I can understand that because of the thoughts that I have, because of the actions that I take, that's when we need to see, is this belief serving me? So if you're confused, let's take financial situations as an example. If I am super restrictive, right, and I feel really guilty about money, and if I don't want to check my bank account because I'm scared of that number, no matter what it is, right, and if I feel financially poor, if I feel like I have like a really tight grip on my finances, the question that I would kind of ask you is, what was your financial situation looking like when you were a kid? What were some of the biases or some of the thought processes that you heard around money? Have you heard that money is evil, or money brings bad things, or the more money you have, the greedier you are? Like, do you have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? What does that mean? And kind of like investigating that. And then when you iron down a belief system, like, I believe that money is the root of all evil. And then we're finding it difficult now in our adult lives to like spend money properly, or we binge, and so we don't spend anything at all for a really long time, and then we binge on useless things that we don't really need. Like, where is our scarcity mindset kind of coming from, and is there an opportunity to kind of rectify that? And so that's what I mean by, is a belief serving you? Does it align with the actions that I want to take now? And I think this lunar eclipse is really helping us kind of confront our past. And I think another really key thing about this, and this is kind of like for me, because I did a tarot pull last night. My husband and I, we like to do like kind of spiritual evenings. This is a thing that I've been doing for a while, where if anytime there's like a full moon or a new moon or an eclipse, I like to kind of sit in that energy and really ask like a lot of tough questions to spirit, and I like to journal. And so I asked 3 questions. I said, what advice do I need when it comes to dealing with the past? What are my blind spots now? And what do I need to be cautious of? And when it comes to advice on dealing with the past, one of the things that I picked up on was kind of having this like, it is what it is mentality. Like, we had a few ways to go about our healing. We could have gone this route, we could have gone this route, we could have gone this route, and we chose one, right? Ultimately, we chose the route that we were gonna go on when it comes to healing or career or whatever. We made our choice. It was in the past. So part of confronting our past is kind of being like, okay, yeah, I made that decision. Do I like that decision? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But is there an opportunity for me to pivot now? How can I kind of let that ego die and kind of experience an ego death and just leave the past in the past, like rest in peace. We don't need to touch that anymore. This might be a really great time for you to heal from your past a little bit, but I think forgiveness goes a really, really long way. One of the best ways to heal from not only just the people that have hurt you or circumstances that have hurt you is to forgive all the parties involved. We need to remember that forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. When you forgive somebody, what's really happening is that you yourself are releasing this like energetic burden of something that caused you a lot of pain. And by you forgiving the other person, it doesn't mean that the other person, what they did was right. It doesn't mean that there's no need for blame. our fault in those kinds of situations. If you're right now still hung up about something and you want to release it, I would challenge you to forgive that situation. Forgive yourself for however way that you reacted. Promise yourself you're not going to do that again. And forgive the other parties involved. And that will go a long way. I think really in meditation, I've asked God and Spirit, like, hey, can you help me? Can you give me the strength to forgive this person? And it really has worked out for me. So I would say, advice on dealing with the past, forgiveness, and just confronting it. Just being like, yeah, this is what happened. I'm not happy with it, but it is what it is. And I feel like that's kind of the overall energy of this lunar eclipse, is just being like, yeah, that was shitty, that sucked, but I'm ready to move on now. Some of the blind spots that we might be experiencing is like, I don't know if this is just like this weird transitionary period between winter and spring, or if this is just like the nature of what we're all going through right now. It's just this like lack of passion and like enthusiasm. I am a very passionate and enthusiastic person as a whole, I guess. But when I'm not, I tend to think that everything is wrong. Like I'm doing everything wrong. And I'm asking the questions that don't need to be asked. Like, am I doing the right thing? Like, God, can you tell me if I'm on the right path? God, can you give me clarity? And I'm always asking God, like, can you just tell me if I'm on the right path? Can you just tell me if I'm doing the right thing? Right? Like if I want to achieve my goals, am I taking the right steps? Like, can you just validate that for me, please? And I find myself asking God those kinds of questions when I'm not feeling passionate, when I'm not feeling inspired, when I'm not really feeling creative. And so what I'm trying to do now is, instead of asking God to just give me the answers, I'm going to ask him to kind of give me the right glasses to wear. Another funny thing about like kind of confronting our past, it's realizing that every single perspective that we have is merely just a lens. It's just a pair of glasses. And sometimes we can choose to take those glasses off and we can try to see the world with an objective point of view. Put the glasses back on and see if our view is actually serving us. Are our belief systems actually serving us? That's another really good way to like gut check. Like if I were to look at the situation objectively versus with my perspective, which first of all, even just doing that is pretty challenging, but then to change perspectives and be like, no, I want new glasses. I'm gonna have new glasses and I'm gonna look at the situation like I've never looked at it before, and I'm gonna do it from a healed perspective. That's challenging. First, you have to recognize that you even have glasses on. Then you have to take them off. Then you gotta put them back on. And then you gotta be like, is this serving me? And then you want new glasses because you realize that's not serving you. So it's a challenging process to change your perspective on something, but it's essential sometimes. And especially when it comes to forgiving our past, whether it's people, events, whatever, or confronting the past, we really have to do it from a new perspective, especially if we no longer want to wear this like survivor of our trauma suit, right? And I say that with grace. Like a lot of the things that we've all been through, yes, we are survivors of the things that we've been through, but there comes a time where even I'm like, I don't want to be like this sad survivor anymore that's kind of like drowning in her own self-pity as I did 3 days ago. I don't want to be that girl anymore. I just want to feel happy and free and comfortable in my body and comfortable around the people that love me and that I love, and I just want to just be free of a lot of these things. I don't want to be a survivor anymore. What does that even mean in the context of where I'm at right now, right? But sometimes our beliefs don't let us kind of see past what's right in front of us. And in order to adequately and properly and from a place of gratitude see right what's in front of us, we sometimes need new glasses. And when it comes to like what our blind spots are, that's to go back to like the question, I think like anytime there's this like internal battle, we have to recognize that union is on its way. Union is coming. And that can mean anything for you. Take that as a sign as you will, but union is coming and we need to find that unity within us first, which kind of goes to my grander, more overarching thought process, is that this is a dualistic world that we're in, right? I talked about this slightly on TikTok, but like sometimes in life, like when you really think about like who you are and what you're up to and what is this body that I'm in, who am I? If you're asking those kinds of questions, I ask those questions like all the time. I'm like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? What am I doing? What is my purpose? I ask those questions all the time. And one of the biggest things that I recognized was that as much as I'm kind of like coming in the middle and leaving in the middle when it comes to life, like life is happening all around us and we're kind of just plopped down here and we're asked to survive for, 80, 90 years, God willing, and then, send back up. But at the same time, our soul has lived on for God knows how long. Right? God literally is the only one who knows how long our soul has been here on this plane. And so, yes, we're coming in the middle and leaving in the middle, and we're kind of like these transitory creatures in a sense, as our problems are as well, right? They're in flux, they're transitory, they change with circumstances, our desires, all of these things are very transitory. But in the same lens, we're also semi-permanent in the fact that our Atma, our soul, can't be destroyed, and it's also been on this plane for a long, long time. So yes, we're coming in the middle and leaving in the middle, and yes, we are these influx creatures and we are these transitory beings, and we are here for a very short amount of time, but we're also here for so long. And we also don't know how much longer we have left on this plane, how many more lifetimes we still need to encounter. We have no idea. And that's a great depiction of duality. And so when we are kind of looking at our true nature, like who am I, what is this being, and we're asking those questions, we have to acknowledge both sides of the coin. Both that yes, we're temporary, minuscule, teeny tiny little individuals, but yes, we still need to take accountability. We're still in charge of our soul. We're not just in charge of like our mind and our body. We have to take care of our soul. And so in order to take care of our soul, what do we need to do? We need to first recognize like that it's this permanent thing. It can't be destroyed. It's always happy. It's always content. It's connected to God, right? And so as disconnected you might feel, you have to tap into the version of you that is connected. And that version of you is here. It's your soul. It's here, right? You wouldn't be breathing if you didn't have one. So you have to kind of recognize that dual nature within yourself before you can look at the dual nature of this world. And then start to have a level of self-acceptance and then acceptance for others. It really all starts here. It really does. And it's annoying to hear, especially if you're going through a hard time, but it all starts with you. Self-acceptance, self-love, self-respect helps you accept, love, and respect other people. And the best way to receive that acceptance, receive that love, and receive that respect from others is to start here. I've got to first treat myself with acceptance, love, and respect. Then I got to start treating other people that way. And only then can I start to think, hey, can I be treated that way too? But at that point, you'll already know what your boundaries are. You'll already know where you stand because you're giving yourself so much of that love and validation that all human beings crave. And so I think overall, just like the blind spot could be just the fact that we're not noticing our duality. We're not noticing how vast we are and how we have literally everything within us, and looking at a very tiny little microscope to see how successful we are or how loved we are. Like we're not looking at things from a grander lens, and perhaps we should. Again, all of these things are only possible if you do the very first thing I said in this video, and that's to surrender. You can't really look at the dual nature of life or these complicated topics unless you just surrender. And so, if anything you've taken from this video, I know it's been kind of long, the only thing that you really need to take away is to surrender. So the last little part that I wanted to talk about was what to be cautious of in the future. If you're feeling this like lack of motivation or this lack of passion, this lack of energy, I know I mentioned that you could ask God to kind of give you different classes, but it's also to help you, see like, okay, Yes, thank you for these new glasses, but Spirit God, can you help me look through them? Right now might just be one of those times where you need help to see what's right in front of you. And in order to help you see what's right in front of you, you gotta ask. So me personally, I am a Taurus rising, and I feel like the biggest thing that has been coming into my worldview is just making adjustments around my health, my wellness, my routines, and dealing with the past. I mean, that has a lot to do with health, I think. You know, there's a lot of ties for me personally, and I think a lot of people, where we have these like notions about our health, about how we need to construct our routine. And there's, especially now in this day and age with TikTok and everything, there's so many day in the life videos, right? Like we're prone to comparison and say like, my life doesn't look that aesthetic, my life doesn't look like that at all. And so I feel like I'm kind of taking a step back and looking at where I can make better adjustments in my health and wellness. And like just being sick from COVID was also a massive indication for that, because I was like, this is so weird. Like I have been getting sick like constantly. The last 2-3 years have been pretty difficult for me health-wise. Like I've not been the healthiest version of me. I feel like I'm definitely not doing certain things properly, and I should be. And so I've not really taken accountability on how much energy I'm putting towards my health, right? I feel like I'm kind of focusing on the wrong things, like career or like advancement, rather than focusing on giving myself time to actually make food properly in the evenings. And there's been a lot of guilt and anger and frustration around my health. And I asked Spirit, and literally this lunar eclipse for Tauruses, this is about your health and wealth. And wealth is health. So to me, I look at that as the same thing. And so I think part of it is just like realizing that there is no need to be there's no need for you to feel guilty over some of the mistakes that you've made in the past. It's way more important to take accountability of your belief systems surrounding those things that you want to change, and make that effort to do that. It's not easy. I'm not trying to make it seem like, oh guys, look at me, this is so easy and you should just do it. Like it's challenging to take a step back first of all and look at your life and audit what's going on. But if you have the capacity to do that, and you're able to see like, okay, these are the belief systems that I have about health and wealth, these are the belief systems that I have about people, about forgiveness, about my past, it makes healing so much easier. It makes this process way more tangible. And I suggest writing down some of these things that make you feel really upset. So now on to the tangible aspect of the lunar eclipse video. Affirmations and journal prompts. Journal prompts around the lunar eclipse. What can we ask Spirit to help us with? If you're not in the practice of speaking with God, speaking with universe, or speaking with Spirit, it can seem a lot more complicated than it really is. It's really just posing a question. The answer will come. You have to just have open ears for that. How do we have open ears to what the universe, God, and Spirit has to say? You guessed it, surrender. So the first journal prompt can be, how do I surrender? How do I surrender? What does that look like for me? What does that mean? And really taking a chance to actually write that down. What does surrender look like? And also with these journal prompts, nothing is like hard and set. No one else is looking at this journal entry other than you. No one is grading it. No one is looking if your handwriting looks good. No one's looking at it, making sure that it makes grammatical. In fact, that's so ironic that I can't say that. No one is looking at if it makes any sense. No one's looking at if you have any spelling errors. So just like free form, and just give yourself permission to be imperfect and practice that perfectionism, and just say, hey, what does it look like for me to surrender? What does that even mean for me? And just try to like give yourself a little bit of guidelines on that. And then the next thing I would say is like, what advice do you think I need to hear right now? And then start to journal on all the things that you wish that you heard. What did you wish for me to say to you? What did you wish for your parents to say to you? What did you wish for your friends, your partner, whatever, to say to you? And then the last thing would be, what are some of the blockages that I am experiencing right now? What are some things that I'm looking at and seeing, hey, this is preventing me from doing something? Inaction is such a dangerous place to be. It is, and it's like in the Bhagavad Gita we talk about this. It's inaction is not the choice. It's inaction is an action, you know? And so we need to make a choice and take action on some of the things that we want to change in our life. And if we believe wholeheartedly that we have blockages from something, we need to examine what those blockages are. And if you're able to determine, hey, I'm being blocked because my boss hates me, or I'm being blocked because of X, Y, and Z, just writing that down helps you feel seen, okay? And then we can work on, okay, how do we actually remove these blockages? What can we ask God to help us with? But first we need to sit down and just evaluate these. So I would just focus on those 3 prompts. Like I said in the beginning, this is a point of rest and rejuvenation. Let yourself rejuvenate and recalibrate in this time. There's no need for extreme action. There's no need for you to like completely pivot and get a whole new personality, right? Like there's no need for any of that, but what can be really helpful right now is just auditing. Simply auditing, doing nothing with that information except for just noticing. And practicing and being in that observer state is so helpful, especially when it comes to the later stages, when we have that solar eclipse and when we have just all the astrological events that are going to ask us to take action in the future. We're going to be really thankful for this time because it's actually asking us to rest. And when does this world ever ask us to rest, right? So when it does, take it. When it does, just relax and don't do anything. Just audit, right? So that's all I have for you today. I hope you found this video to be helpful. You know, if you have any questions about the lunar eclipse or the full moon, this energy is going to be staying with us for the next like 7 days or so. So I can make a part 2. I can, you know, answer any questions that you guys have. I want this to be a free and open platform. So if you're not comfortable posting your question in the comments section below, if you're not comfortable with posting your question in the comment section below, my DMs are open and I am checking them regularly. So feel free to send me a DM if you are confused at anything, and I am happy to make a video about it or just respond to you straight in the DMs. But yeah, I hope that you are having a restful time. I hope you're taking advantage of this energy. I hope I get rid of this COVID soon. And I hope that we all turn a point to take off some of the glasses that we've been wearing and exchange them for new ones. We are dualistic, transitory creatures, right? Let's embrace it so that we can embrace this world just a little bit better and look at life as, you know, this joyride that we get to go on and stumble, make mistakes, get back up, and hopefully not come back for our next life. But if we do, that's also okay. So I'll leave you with that. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.